John Sterling Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I thank you. As we roll along on the Sterling Show on this Saturday, I have a good friend on the other end of this line, and I think you'll enjoy the interview. His name is Anthony McCarren, and he is a writer and a broadcaster. He's on very often on the Mets pre-game show. I forget what they call it. Anthony will tell us. And he writes great, and he's written for all the newspapers. So, as they say, without further ado, because I didn't bring my adieu with me, here is Anthony McCarren. Hello, Anthony. How are you?
I'm good, John. How you doing?
I am very good. What do they call the show that you're on, I see all the time on the Mets?
Oh, Baseball Night in New York.
Yeah, I'll come up with that again. Baseball Night in New York.
Or BNNY for short.
Yeah. Anthony, let's begin talking a little Mets. Interestingly, here at the very beginning of June, I think there are 5 teams who have, basically the same record. The Yankees, Detroit in the American League, and the Mets and the Dodgers and the Cubs in the National League. And I think it's very good for baseball. I figure this summer is going to be great because both the Yankees and Mets are in first place right now, but they'll be fighting for the Mets. Have the Mets surprised you at all with where they are, how they're playing?
I thought they would be a good team, John, but I didn't think that they would be this good. Maybe that would have been something they could have gelled into later in the season, but they've been good sort of right off the bat, and really, I think, very surprising across baseball. Maybe not to the Mets, but certainly to the rest of the game. They're pitching, the excellence that they've gotten out of their starting rotation, which, let's be honest, is not filled with brand names, has been phenomenal. They've got the best rotation ERA. They've got the best overall ERA in baseball, and I think that that's something that has been a bit of a surprise. And to be honest with you, John, if they can pitch this way the rest of the year, I think they got more coming on the offensive side, and I think that makes them really scary.
Boy, do I agree with you. And, Senga is obviously a terrific pitcher, and people knew it. They didn't know how Clay Holmes will be as a starter, or
right.
David Peterson, or McGill. Canning, I think, has been the greatest surprise, and in the first game that he pitched, Paul Blackburn pitched very well. Isn't that amazing? As you said, they aren't brand names, household names, but, if they pitch and get guys out, that's all you want, right?
And you're right about Canning especially, too, because I think he had the worst ERA in the American League last year with the Angels. The Braves had him before the Mets got him in the offseason, and they non-tendered him. So here was a guy who was sort of, at pitching's wit's end, right? And now he has a 2.90 ERA. It's a surprise when he doesn't pitch really well. So he's been a good find for them. And the Mets, to their credit, have, discovered is not the right word, but have maybe made something out of guys who are underthought of throughout the rest of the game in kind of the David Stearns era, which, maybe means you don't have to sign the winter's big free agent pitcher to be a really good pitching team.
Well, I think it's amazing. They've certainly amazed me, along with the rest of baseball. And I mentioned that Blackburn pitched one game. Are they going, Anthony, are they going to go with 6 starting pitchers?
I think that's they're in a stretch right now, and I don't recall exactly what it is in terms of games in a row where they could use a 6th starter. They like to keep Senga on kind of a schedule like that as well because he seems to do better when that's the case. So, yeah, I think there's another start for Paul Blackburn. And look, Sean Manaea, who was, probably their best pitcher all of last season when he was a revelation. He was last year's revelation for them. He's going to be, he just had a rehab start last night. Coming back from injury. He hasn't pitched in the majors this year yet. So they do have even more pitching potentially coming, and these are all really good problems to have when you have to figure out if Paul, where does Paul Blackburn fit in? He just threw 5 scoreless innings against the Dodgers. That's pretty good.
And looked great doing it. As Joe Torre would say, because he was given this problem many times with the Yankees. He said it will figure itself out. And as you know,
exactly.
Nowadays, people get hurt every other day. And so it's a good thing to have 7 starting pitchers when Manaea is ready. And then you make your choices. One other thing about the Mets, you mentioned, I agree with you, that their hitting is going to come around. Actually, they get base hits, but they don't get base hits with men on base. And I just figure that Lindor, Soto, Alonso, who has been great, and then the young guys, Beatty and Vientos and Alvarez, I think they'll start hitting, and you'll see the Mets score a lot more runs in the second half.
Yeah, I agree, John. They're kind of a little bit above league average in runs per game right now, and they're 27th in average with runners in scoring position. I mean, they're the only teams they're better than are 3 of the worst teams in baseball: the Rockies, the White Sox, and Orioles in terms of batting average with runners in scoring position. I know it's been something that has really frustrated Met fans this season. I mean, Pete Alonso is basically the only guy who's really mauling the ball with runners in scoring position. So once that, that's one of those stats to me that kind of, evens itself out a little bit. And once that happens, I mean, how are you going to stop that lineup? I mean, I think it's a little weak, as a lot of lineups are after you get past, the 4th, 5th, into those spots, 6, 7, 8. It's obviously not as strong, but I do think that they can get a lot done offensively. They're getting traffic. They're just not getting it in with scoring position. And yet they're still 40 and 24.
Oh, absolutely. But as we said at the beginning, the odd thing is they're doing it with pitching that you didn't really know about outside of Senga or Manaea if he comes back. Peter, Anthony, let's talk about Peter Alonso. He leads the major leagues in RBIs. And, I watch because I have the ability, the time. I watch everything, and man, he is good. He is, and look what it took for them to sign him. They didn't really want to sign him. I would think it'll be different next year, but because he's going to be a free agent. But talk about Alonso and how great he's been.
Well, it's really been remarkable the season he's had. I mean, this is. I've been calling it amateur psychology, John, because you look at his last season. His season last year, and it was fine. It wasn't as great as Alonso's capable of, obviously. Could you extrapolate that, into the fact that he knew he was playing for his big free agent payday? Maybe. This year he looks completely different, though. He appears to be more relaxed, and maybe that's because, he already went through that. He knows how to deal with it. I mean, he has an opt-out in this contract after the season. He seems to be setting up his future quite nicely with the way he's pounding the ball. Look, he's got, obviously, that we've always thought of him as a slugger. He's got a lot of doubles this year, in addition to hitting the home runs. I thought Friday night, in their victory, in the Mets' victory over Colorado, he had this incredible game where he had a go-ahead double, 2-run double. Then he made a great throw to the plate from first base to get a guy at the plate. That's been a problem for Pete, throwing the ball as a fielder in the past, and he made a really good play last night. And then he had a great slide to score a key run late in the game as well. And it was sort of all on display what he could do. I'm not saying that he's the greatest all-around player in baseball. He's mostly a slugger. He can do other things too, and he's really taken advantage of this. And in a year when the Mets aren't getting a lot done with runners in scoring position, he is driving the offense. Well,
when you look at a team with Francisco Lindor, who I think is utterly fabulous, steal bases, play shortstop great, hit for average and hit home runs. A little guy like that hits home runs, and Soto. And yet, who's been the big hitter on the team? Alonso. Right.
And Lindor's gotten plenty done too, John. There's a great stat about him where the Mets have won each of the last 27 games that he's hit a home run in, which is too shy from the Major League Baseball record, which is 29, and it was Carl Furillo, the old Brooklyn Dodger, who he holds the record. But so Lindor can kind of drive the offense too. He hasn't done it, to me anyway, at a high level as Alonso has done this year, but he has moments like he missed a game earlier this week because he's got a broken pinky toe, and then last night he has a huge pinch hit double, and those are the kind of moments, John, that make you think about what the year could be for the Mets, and I think they're talented enough, where they're going to be in the mix for what could be something special.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I think their batting order is very deep because I see in some guys, Alvarez, who I think has great power, not hitting at all. Beatty has come back from the minor leagues and is hitting. They just have a terrific lineup. And it doesn't surprise me they're in first. It would surprise me if the Braves continue to play as badly as they're playing.
Yeah.
And that would surprise me. And the Phillies have been, I'd say, a hot and cold team.
Yeah, I agree. The Mets roughed them up earlier, but I look forward to them playing again because I think that'll be a big test for the Mets. And look, one of the sort of narratives about the Mets early in the season, John, is they were getting a good record going was, well, they haven't played anybody. And then they proceeded to play a bunch of good teams, and they beat the Cubs in a series. They've won the season series from the Dodgers. So they are equipped to take on this. It's an incredibly rugged division, even with the Braves sort of listing right now. Washington, to me, will be. I don't know if this year is a possibility for them, but they're going to be a factor at some point with all the young talent that they have.
They do indeed.
Yeah, James Wood is fabulous, and he's going to be a big star in this game. I don't know if they can make much noise this year, but we'll see. But yeah, the East should be plenty entertaining going down the line here.
Yeah, and also it's pretty good that both New York teams are in first place, and they have the talent to at least play for first place all year long. Also, the Mets pitching coach, Jeremy Hafner, he's in for a big raise.
Yes, I agree. And he's, to me, this is something, what he has accomplished as the Met pitching coach is something special. And part of it is, I don't have it off the top of my head, John, but I think he has been the pitching coach through like 3 GM regimes and for 2 different owners. And in a sport where a lot of times when there's big changes in the front office, that means that those, the new folks are bringing in, quote, their guys. This guy has proven himself to be valuable enough to stick around, and he's clearly one of the big driving forces behind a Mets pitching staff that has been phenomenal.
Well, we've just made Jeremy Hafner a lot of money, and and this winter, Pete Alonso is going to do very, very well. I don't know if he'll be back with the Mets. He can opt out of his contract. Is that it?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I think he's going to get a lot of offers. So,
yeah, it would be, look, he would be a great lifetime Met, John. He really would, because I think the fan base has embraced him since he's come back. And, his big playoffs last year, the big home run against the Brewers, all that sort of stuff. So it would be great if he were to be in town for the remainder of his career.
Well, they'll have a chance to bid on him, that's for sure.
Yes, right.
That's for sure. Anthony, thank you. Anthony's wife, his lovely, darling wife, is Judy Batista, and you see her all the time on the NFL channel, and she's also going to be on this show. And the good news, Anthony, she's going to get paid exactly what you got paid. Pretty good, eh?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Anthony, I thank you, sir. I get the boys together, and we'll have dinner again. Okay?
Oh, I love it. Great to be with you, John.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony, for being on.